we'll call this meeting, this 4:30 meeting to order. We'll do roll call. Bill Moore.
Here.
Burton Glover.
Here.
Bob Hope.
Here.
Mr. Bowens.
Here.
I'm here. That's 5. That makes a full crew. All right, we'll entertain a motion
So moved.
for the minutes. If everybody's had a chance to look at them. Got a motion by Commissioner Hogan and a second by Commissioner Bowens. All in favor?
Aye.
So moved. All right. We'll go right into Joe Fort.
Okay, most of mine's informational. The skylights on the jail roof, the new roof we put on, we've got them repaired or replaced for $3,500 through Weaver Roofing, which this committee had already approved that money being spent. And along with that, we've rekeyed this office building, just the office building side, not the court side. And that also is gonna be at $3,500, which y'all have approved. Only one we didn't get is the finance because the key pins didn't come in for him today, so he'll finish that tomorrow.
That's a key that can't be duplicated.
That's right. It's a key that's not supposed to be duplicated. If it is, it's a felony charge if somebody goes and tries, and whoever does it is charged also. If you go to Walker Hardware and they make the key, then they could be charged as a felony for doing it because it's stamped on there, do not duplicate, and it's on the government key bit list. So,
Okay.
and the only people that right now has master keys are the mayor's gonna get one, maintenance guys get one, and housekeeping, so we can get in early in the morning, spray and do all of our deal before everybody else gets here. Unless I'm instructed by the mayor, I will not pass out any other masters. He has to be the one that approves it, but he'll probably send me an email if somebody needs a master.
Of course, those keys are to the offices,
Right.
not to the building.
Well, the master key will fit outside doors. It fits everything, but
Do we stick our electronic or what?
yeah, you can still get in with your
Right.
key fob.
Key fob?
Yeah,
Okay.
and I'm gonna have outside doors keyed on, just like in the department. It'll be keyed with the master working the outside door. So if y'all needed a key for the outside door, I can give you a key to the outside door, but you can't get in the offices. Next on the agenda is the canopy lights out here. I know y'all gonna think that they're not that old, which they're not. They were put in 2015 or 16. We got a couple of them that's going bad, and the drivers in these things cost more than a brand new light fixture. So I'm gonna buy new light fixtures to go out here on the new budget year to go under this canopy, and the 3 that we're gonna have left, I'm gonna take and repair the ones at the health department. So then we'll get rid of these that we have. The new ones will have a bulb, a LED bulb you put in. It'll be the same efficiency on your electric bill. There won't be any change there, but just we don't have to buy those drivers that's inside them lights. They are expensive. So, unless y'all instruct me not to do it and keep the driver, it's up to this committee.
So
but
basically,
I would suggest
as they go out, you're just gonna keep buying.
I'm gonna buy them all at one
lights
time. I buy all the fixtures and change them all out at one time, and I'll take what's good and carry it to the health department.
All right.
Do you know about what it's gonna cost?
Around $65 a fixture, and that's not too bad. It'll be in my 35 account when the new budget year takes off.
So we want.
Do we need any motion to approve it?
Not, I wouldn't think so.
Not till the new budget.
Yeah, 'cause the new budget will be July 1.
Right.
Yeah. Okay.
We'll be able to go with that. And the next thing on my agenda would be the archive drainage, which Jason is here to help us out. But
Jason, you want to pull the chair out?
I'll pass these around. Did you bring any of these? Pass around the tray.
Joe did.
I did.
So they already have them?
They are, yes,
Right there.
yes. I'm sorry, I should have let you know.
Oh, that's
Jason.
fine, that's fine.
Save your paper.
Have you put out any of the information from our meeting?
No, I have
Summary of
not. But I brought these drawings for the people in this committee to see.
Well, I didn't bring those. Essentially, what we discussed on site was attempting to finalize the repairs in accordance with the original intent that we had on that building. That's what his quote reflects is we essentially had the wall that limited where we could install the drain, essentially what you think of as a French drain, for the full 10-foot section outside that building. When we got to that retaining wall, we couldn't do that. The retaining wall was the only thing, I don't know how many of y'all recall this part, but the retaining wall was the only thing that was not in the plans records that we got from Joe. So we weren't for sure what was going on underneath there. We sort of guessed at what its intent was, but we didn't know the structural detail. So whether that was before the project or during, that was sort of the issue, was we didn't know how to deal with it. Made our decisions at that time and went forward. So when we were out there in the construction, that wall started moving, and that's where we stopped it. You couldn't go any closer. So what this does essentially is take down the wall and take the same section that we had and had good success with, and the rest of the building repairs, other than this one leak in the stairwell, which is right behind this area that didn't go all the way up to the building. So the building wall did not get two things primarily. It didn't get cleaned and resealed, which it had in the original construction anyway. And then it didn't get the rocks put right up next to the building. It's still got dirt next to it. So those are the two things that you're gonna to get out of this quote is, and then putting back the wall in the same fashion that it is there now. So that's the price to do it and replace the wall in like kind. If you, Trey and I it took us all the way until Friday, I think we received this quote. And our meeting was a week and a half in front of that.
Right.
So Trey and I had discussed one other out there in the field, but we'd discuss another after that. If y'all want to discuss them, we can. And that's an alternative wall option. One idea we had was like a segmented block. This one's made out of some type of concrete slab foundation. Don't know how it's tied to it, but then a masonry wall on top of it, about 4 feet tall or something like that, 8 feet wide. And then, so doing a segmented block like you think of in a landscaping block that you've probably seen around a lot. They just sort of stacked on a slope angle and locked together, but they don't have mortar or anything else tying them together. It's all gravity. And then the third option is if we could get the dirt, if we could avoid using a retaining wall altogether. And I don't know how successful we will be at that. That's we're estimating it. We haven't looked at the geometry of how that would lay in and what it would take. Backfilling it. The only thing that I thought about after we discussed that a little bit was they had to put the wall in there at one time. Now, whether that was planned ahead or dealt with, that may even be why it was there and not in the plans when those windows were put in, is they couldn't hold it back. So that was what they decided to do. So the other option is we don't put the wall in, we put a cheaper type of protection measure around the window and let the topsoil come further out with its slope line.
Could you block up one of them windows and just, or either put a window well around
Well,
it?
you could, but when you look at the price of repairing that window, it's probably going to eat up most of what you're going to save.
Or if you just put a window well?
Well, that's what we talked about, and that's, we don't have the quote for that, is what I'm saying. And then there's some risks there too.
I mean, was the wall put there, you think, just because there was windows there?
That first one. That's what I think, yes. That's when the wall was put in at the same time the windows were. All the windows were in the design plans, and the wall was not.
So if this right here is to take it all down and put a new wall up, right?
Take it down, excavate out, essentially gonna set up and try to damage minimal amount of sod. Excavate out, it's roughly, a truck and a half, 2 trucks worth of volume that's gonna come out. And haul all of that off and then backfill with stone. We're clean the wall, seal it, backfill with stone, cap it with a little bit of dirt, and then resod. And yes, there were, I missed the wall part. Build the wall that holds it, just like it does now.
I guess my question is either way, this has got to do with the wall coming down, right? Right here, on this first one, putting the new wall up.
Taking it down.
So if you got it down and you saw it didn't need the wall, and you could go without it.
Yeah, he's
I mean,
got
you're
it
gonna be
itemized.
there either way. You're gonna be able to see it and figure out whether you can or whether you don't have to put the wall because it's coming down right off the first, right?
Yes.
It appears to us from looking at it when we made the site visit that the wall doesn't provide any structural integrity to the building. I wasn't the designer or was there when they put it in, that's what it
Well, I
appears.
don't, I'm just kind of wondering, was it there for the dirt, just so they could put the windows in or something, you know? And if you didn't need the wall back,
Well, that was sort of the risk that we discussed then too, was we don't, and we still don't know exactly what's behind there. I mean, you had metal flashing and other items that are detailed into that wall that we said if we move it, there's gonna be some, or could be some unknown costs there now. So we're just about avoiding all that with this, but
Goes around.
One of the windows that it kind of protects, the first window, if you've been down in that basement now, there's some kind of cataloging system. It's automated, you crank this and it moves these big partitions.
yes, the
And
files.
this window is behind the partitions. So in my estimation, it doesn't do much for letting light in because the light's blocked by all those partitions. So losing the window, I'm not saying that's what we do, wouldn't affect anything inside because you can't see the window anyway. But I'm with Jason, I'm not sure.
So I guess my thing is, I'm just wondering, if you did put the wall back up, I mean, if it wasn't serving the purpose, it's still gonna hold the wall eventually again, hold water again, just like it does now. Whereas if you could not put it up and put gravel there, you see what I'm saying? Would you be able to do that and get away without putting the wall in? Or would you not know till you get it dug out?
it's gonna be a catch-22. It's
Yeah.
gonna be hard. One of the things I think is you're right there at the window. So now even if you look at an option of closing that off, you're gonna have this cost of, okay, there's what it takes for us to block it in. Pretty simple solution until you lay your dirt in, and now you're like, man, that's coming right across this. Now we gotta finish this block or brick or something, or add more dirt to make sure you're coming all the way past it, but not onto the second window.
Well, I just think,
My thoughts are, our safe bet is to think we're gonna spend that cost. And if we can save some during construction, that's good.
well, I guess my question is with this is taking the wall out and going back new, right?
Yes.
So you're gonna be right there without a wall. So if this could possibly change, are you saying this is probably the top dollar for everything being done? But I guess my thing is, if you got in there and you didn't need the wall, and you could go something different, are we looking at something possibly?
I think so, don't you? I mean, I think that you might have a reduced cost. I don't think we'll save the full 5,300 that it's itemized at, but I think you have the potential to reduce it.
I guess my
yes.
thing is, if you're putting the wall back in and it's holding water now, and I know you're gonna come back and seal everything, are we gonna have the same problem in time to come? Because it's still gonna be holding water.
You shouldn't, because it's gonna be tied into the French drain and it's already there, right, Jason?
It's only, that's correct, but it's only allowing water in there because of this one, you think about a cube space, area that's accepting water, right, that didn't get taken out. So you have two problems. One, there's a very small hole that's still there, and this soil that catches and holds the water just long enough for it to leak into the building instead of being able to get to the rock. Everything else is still hitting, we're still getting a lot of water that's going against that building wall. It's just dropping really fast, getting in the pipe and out. This one's dropping and hitting mud and sitting there. So there's a very small area that's getting water, and that's why the leak is so small there. I mean, it fixed a big problem, but now we're dealing with this one small one.
I see a downspout down here going right in that gravel pool. Is it connecting to the French drain going out?
There are two pipes on that layout.
And I see it, this filling up with water and that pipe's not reaching that pipe there. Is that correct? Looks like this right here is gonna saturate with water and trying to get in that pipe. Why don't you connect those two?
Well, because one's a solid pipe and one's perforated.
Well, fix that.
No, I think that's right.
Well, the bottom one is where it can drain the water out. correct?
Perforated where the water can go down and get inside the pipe.
And that's a solid pipe right there.
And
And why is it saturating all this up here? Why don't you
It's
run
not.
that pipe
It's
down there?
not, that
It's
is not,
solid all the way out till you get around the building, and then it ties into the same storm drain system,
and goes to those storm
Okay.
drains.
so that exactly that.
I see. I see.
That pipe
How
on the
much-
bottom's to take the water
In.
down.
Yeah, right.
You're replacing $2,500 worth of sod.
They would be, yes.
How much sod are they laying?
It'll be quite a bit once you get
That
in
quite a
there.
bit doesn't communicate to me.
I mean,
I work in feet every day.
I don't really know.
We
I
counted
mean, looking
out
at
there
front
in
of
the
that
field,
building,
but I
I've been to
don't
the building
know.
several times.
Um,
It didn't look like a big amount of sod.
no, it's not. It's not. And that's what we talked about it out there, his price per square foot. And I was like, well, I don't think your guy's he's got a sub that he uses it for. And I think whatever the number was, it was like $500. And I said, I don't think your subcontractor's gonna come out here and replace that for that. And that's exactly why we were asking for a formal quote.
Well, 2,500 of them,
Exactly.
even 5 times.
Yeah.
When sod is breaking less than $3 a yard. And you've got a few yards out there, and labor normally is double the sod. He was closer at $500 than he was. at
Right, that's his
$2,500.
standard price. That's what he's
So
saying.
why didn't you leave him alone, let him stay with it?
I didn't tell him what to put on there. I said, I don't think they'll be there.
But your question is $500, right?
I
Didn't you say that
discussed it
her
with him.
first talk was $500?
No, not on this job, on the standard job. That's what he said. He said, this one's small. So he said, I've got to go back and run my number.
Can I ask, if you did this work, would you, the committee, let this company do it since they already work there, or would you bid it out or get quotes? Because Bob's got a valid question. I buy sod, my son buys sod pretty regular, and I'm pretty familiar with what it costs too, but I just wondered, would you let this company do it, or would you bid it out?
Well, sod's the last thing on there. If you don't like that price, you just mark it off and tell them don't do it.
Well, we gotta have something back on there.
We'll sow it with some Hogan blend.
No, it'll be great, I'll give it to you, but it's not that much to do. I just didn't see that, I thought, man, that's a lot. And it normally is a double the sod price to put it out, for them to lay it. Now, they may be laying it down through here like this, that could be a difference.
It's not. I think that's reflective of small quantity job. It's not a steep slope or anything there that's a big issue. One of the things he did mention, and it may have been he increased his quantity, because when we were calculating it, we were sitting there just doing pure area. And I was saying there's about the minimum you can do when you set a mini X there and excavate it out. And he said, well, I can't set the smallest mini X because I can't reach far enough and all that. I think he added a little bit of quantity because just it's such tight working area that he's probably going to disturb a little more to the left and right area. But I think it's just a small quantity price.
Let's ask one other question too. Put Jason on the spot, get his opinion. Chasing drainage problems on an existing building is not that easy or fun, quite frankly. It's just your educated guess at best. For example, I wasn't involved with the project, but up near the front door, I understood y'all discussed looking at possibly doing some stuff there, but you gambled not doing it. That proved to be a good gamble because there's a lot of excavation, sidewalk, a canopy, columns you'd have to take down, and we've had no problems there. This is one area that gambled on, I guess, and it's come back, but it's the better one to have. But my question would be to Jason, I think he touched on it earlier. With that being said, what do you think is the safest option to minimize the risk best you can for future problems? Doing something, whether you let this people, they're not doing what he's proposed, do you think that's the optimal? No
right.
guarantees, but minimize the risk?
This is the higher quality solution that I'm more comfortable with. The other options that we discussed are sort of related to, you've got this very small area that accepts water. So instead of fixing where the water's, part of that is we said there are two issues. One, that it can leak through the wall, and one, that there's water there to do it. So you could fix half of the equation, and that you don't seal the wall off and protect it, but try to prevent water from ever getting in there. Which might be I guess least expensive would be someone hand digging out 6 to 12 inches of soil and putting concrete capped right over it, and then come back with a sealant from the concrete to the brick joint line. That's the least expensive, but it's probably the one with the most risk of not working should you get some penetration from the side. So how far would we go with that solution? We're guessing once again how successful that solution will be. One of them that the contractor brought up when I discussed that idea with him out there, just sort of thinking through solutions, was, well, you could, if you wanted to do that, another option is to build a canopy, just like the one over on the front. But it's going to appear like it'd be hard to understand what its purpose was 20 years from now when you don't have plans.
Put a picnic table out there.
You could put a canopy, mounted above instead of doing it right at the ground to shed water off of it like a roof. So that's less expensive as well. He was willing to quote that, and I said, I don't know, I'll go back and talk about the solutions that we've got. But this one's one that we can feel relatively confident that it's going to fix it, because it fixed it everywhere else in the building. But those other solutions are less expensive. Maybe y'all think they're worth a try, but less likely to resolve 100% of the issue.
Well, the problem is, everything's sealed except for right there, where that wall's at right there.
Yeah, that's what they
We had the whole front of it done, and we stopped. So if we don't, I feel like if we don't get down and take that and get that cleaned up, sealed, I'll take some, anybody else. So,
If you own this building,
Yes.
would you do this to your building?
And how far?
Instead of taking a shortcut?
It goes out,
Can't
this
build.
comes out about 10 feet,
I mean,
8 to 10 feet.
If we're talking
In this area,
$4,000 to get
we did
what you
all
say
of
is
this,
right.
but we
Yeah,
left
this
alone.
Given the success we had with the other,
Left this alone.
and how much,
This
you know,
comes up here.
how much area we
Left
got
this alone.
completed the way we want and the results,
They did,
we may
but it.
try to,
see the
I don't know if we could negotiate
And
with
this is
him
the
on
part
some of
that
these
switches.
and try to get this cost down. I think this is the right solution, I guess is what I'm saying.
It's just a pond of
But
water.
trying to bid it's gonna be tough, because now you gotta get apples to apples.
And they're not been there,
Right.
they're not familiar with it.
This
You might
guy's
save on
right.
side, but pay on the road.
Right. So even though there may be a few things we got with this guy did come back. He was on the
You
project.
ain't got enough, you have to take the container
We
wall
shop it too hard. He's not gonna wanna come over and work and help us with issues like this. At the same time, you get somebody else to do it, and they may not quote exactly what he did, and they definitely don't have the project success behind him. He doesn't want it leaking even now.
Sure.
It wasn't his fault, but he still wants it perfect. So lots of pieces like that. I think the solution is right. If I don't know Trey's opinion, if we could go talk to him and get it down, I think that would be good. But if y'all don't like that, you could try to get apples to apples and bid it out. But now you're asking him to do, or me, a lot of work for a couple $1,000s, it's gonna take you more time than that
If this was
to
a
get
half a
those
million dollar
bids.
project, I would say no.
Right.
We're
I
talking
don't think-
$14,350, so,
Right.
I mean, if you say 10%, you did say it.
Well, we're not unhappy with the rest of his work too, so I mean, everything did good except for where we didn't take this.
And that was never on the original plans to touch that part. It's on right here. So it's not, nothing that Jason missed. It was on there, and
All right, I'm
this
gonna make a
committee
motion.
approved.
Well, basically, that wasn't on him anyway.
Jason,
That's right.
try to go back and see if they can negotiate a little bit on it. That what you just said? Yeah, you were saying to Trey, maybe we can go back and negotiate a little bit. That's what I'm proposing you do, and just come back at the next meeting and tell us what the outcome was.
Mr. Chairman, you have a motion on the floor, or do you not? Is that what Commissioner Glover said?
Yeah, I got a motion by Commissioner Glover for Jason to go back and negotiate the fees.
Jason
I
and Trey,
second.
I mean, they're just
Got a
working
second.
together. I don't know, when I say go, you know, I perceive, get on the telephone and talk about it, and that would suffice to do what I'm talking about. If I'm following your suggestion, I guess it is, just making it in the form of a motion. So we can move
I
on
second
from
that
this.
motion.
We got a second. Discussion, I got something. If you had to say what you thought this would save for somebody to come off of this, what do you think, money-wise?
How much you could say?
Yeah, I mean, I'm talking about was negotiating with the guy.
I don't think we'll ever get anywhere less than 10 because he said those numbers out there. I asked him, well, what do you think roughly? I'm not gonna tie you down. What do you think roughly this is? And he said, oh, I'm thinking somewhere, and that's when we started calculating all this stuff. He said, just everything, he's counting his number of trips, 10 to 15,000. So that to me was his low to high range. Well, we ended up on the high end. Regardless, that answers your question. I don't think we'll ever get below 10. Most likely, probably not below 13 would be my guess when you're.
Well, I mean, it just just have to see what's happening, that's all, that's the reason I make this, so we can conclude this discussion and move on and let you go do something.
And Trey and I can discuss those walls too. That might be where we save some.
Yeah, I was just, I mean, I really didn't, I've been over and looked at it and everything, and I was just wondering, you know, I didn't know if we did need it or if we didn't, or whatever, but we'll move on. Okay, so we got a motion, a second, any more discussion? Question being called, okay. All in favor of sending this back to Jason and Trey, see if we can get this down? Say aye. No opposed, so moved. One other thing, could you give us an update on the animal control?
Yes. Trey mentioned that. Since we, met, discussed that, we went back to all the design team, which is architect and all the engineers that were on it. Primarily, the architect carried the biggest load, and then we kicked that back out to all the other engineers to review it, make sure they don't have any revisions. The architect has done his side. The rest of the teams are in review. I actually got that email today, where I had given him some comments back last week. So that's progressing well. Looks like, the structural side will be the biggest modification because we went from an 8 and 4 inch block. It's like a sandwich block wall section there. So the mechanical and plumbing had one vent adjustments. That's done. The electrical is not done, but we suspect there's going to be very little change on it. But the structural, will have a little bit more detailing, to be revised. It's now a metal exterior with wood studs inside right now, what we're looking at. But all of those changes have been made in the large part. So we're on track with the time schedule, and I don't recall exactly what that was. But 30 days is what I'm recalling. We're about 10 days into that.
So maybe try to bid it in July, late July.
Yeah, I think we're ahead of that schedule.
Great.
When you say metal, are you talking about like pole barn metal material? Is it gonna look like a pole barn out there?
Same thing.
That's just on the front part, right, the back.
About the front building, not the
Yeah.
front facade, but the front building,
Right.
50% approximately.
Jason? Thank you, sir.
Thank y'all.
Appreciate
Y'all have a
you
good
coming.
one.
Jason.
Thanks, Jason.
All right, with that, I'll turn it over to Trey.
One handout for you. Excuse me.
Sir.
We have been in discussions with two different companies, as you can see on the sheet, Bank Pack. They're out of Morrison, Tennessee, down near McMinnville, and QSI, another company that's out of Bardstown, Kentucky. Not all that easy, I found out in researching this, to find companies that do this type of work. But these companies have been really good. They came up, Joe helped me out. One company came twice, sent a technician back up for a second visit. The other company came once. They did a very thorough inspection. Joe got ladders out. They got up above the ceilings. They looked in the trustee's office. They looked in the clerk's office. They talked to staff in both offices extensively. We looked outside. We looked at existing equipment. And very good people. I think we'll get reasonable proposals back from them. What I have tasked them with doing is to get back with us with a proposal of what type of equipment they would recommend, and also a budget estimate. So I'm hoping to have those within the next week or so. I think y'all have given us 90 days to do that. This is 30 days. So by the next meeting, I would anticipate having a report back to you. I'll try to send out a summary of their proposals, or their proposals to you all via email. And then the mayor and I and Joe and Angie and Kendra at a minimum will meet to go over some of this also, any of you all that want to, prior to the next building and grounds meeting. Right now, I have no idea what it's gonna cost. We'll just have to wait and see what they send back. But I'll be glad to entertain any questions thus far.
So there's gonna be two lanes to drive through, or just gonna remain one drive?
It would be 2 lanes. I'm glad you brought that up, because I need to throw that in. Now, what they're proposing is just the equipment installation and all for the system itself. I'll have to come up with an estimate for the site work to add that second lane, put in the concrete, move those picnic tables around. There will be a second lane. The second lane will be designated as clerk and trustee, and the existing lane will remain clerk because of her volume of traffic. Most systems will have TVs or videos and audio on both ends. And of course, getting to Kendra's office is a little more of a chore than Angie's is just right there, but we got them running the system up and through Angie's office and making a 90-degree turn through a firewall, which they'll have to fire call back to get into Kendra's office. So I would anticipate, this logic tells me that Kendra's system will be a fair amount more than Angie's just because of distance run. Joe, would you agree with that?
I agree with that 100%, but just because of the distance it takes to get to where Kendra is wanting to place this at. So, I mean, and her office is that much further away, so. I'd have no idea on a guess, would you? I mean, I guessed it with me and you and Chet that day, but I don't know nothing about them, so. I do know that when we checked on it you remember when we checked on it they have changed it now. You can go outside with these now. They put heaters in them to stop the moisture. We asked that and we found that out, so. But this has not got to go outside. It's all staying above the drop ceiling.
I don't even know whether we got a price on it. I know, did we?
No, some guy from Kentucky, he came up here and looked at it and he said, I'm not even gonna price it.
Okay.
And, but at that time, he was the only one in the southeast that done
All right.
All right, you wanna move on?
Yeah, I'm gonna give you a couple of project updates. Animal control, we've already been over. The other was solid waste drainage. It's going very good. We've been very fortunate with the contractor we've had there. They're doing a good job. Tomorrow, they plan to, install the cross drain underneath County Farm Road. That's that big horizontal elliptical concrete pipe at head walls. And the highway department, Dale and Hester is working with us in the morning. They're gonna take care of closing the road, signing it, where people will know they can get to the landfill from County Farm Road near Springfield, but you can't get to it from the other end. So he's gonna sign that and take care of it, and they're gonna stay as long as it takes tomorrow to get that done, so they won't have to close it again. Delvin has handled, contacting all emergency services, 911 type, in case something came up, so they would know how to route during the day tomorrow. They're gonna start about 6:30 and hopefully be done by 5:30 or 6:30.
And the other pipe over the creek from Animal
Yes,
Control.
we got a quote on that and had it approved. Kevin did have money in there to pay for it. The existing sewer service for the animal control facility comes and spans a creek down there, and it's just hanging in midair. And I was looking at it again this week, or last week, and it's bowed. So they're gonna put a steel casing around it, which will, I'm surprised it hadn't been knocked out already. This will have it much more secure. They're gonna steel case it and embed that casing 5 to 10 feet into each bank on each side, putting clean outs on each side for us too, so we can.
Oh.
That's all I have.
All right, we got anything else on the new business?
TSC building.
TSC building. Everybody knows that we finally got everything settled with the TSC building with Caleb and got all the lease redrawn. It's all recorded, so we're done with that. Talked to Keith today. We may have the opportunity, we are gonna have the opportunity to buy the doctor's building over here. Don't know what it's gonna be, don't have a number or anything, but we were thinking about, this whole time we've been thinking about getting rid of the TSC building. And, that's kinda where we're at. Do we wanna go on and try to put it up for sale? See if we can get some feelers on it. Maybe see where we're at. If we don't, it's making
I
money.
make a motion, we proceed to put it up for sale.
I second that motion.
All right, so we got a motion by Commissioner Glover and a second by Commissioner Hogan. Put it up for sale. More discussion.
We do need to talk about minimums and what we will accept and wouldn't accept. I don't know if we want to talk about that in this meeting, but we're gonna have to approach that as well.
We're gonna have to have it appraised before we can.
We
I
have
think
an
an
open,
appraisal will come when we get ready to sell it, right?
well, yeah, but we've got an open market. We paid it, we bought it. I mean, there has been
Right.
transactions of that type of building. We do have 2 leasees there.
Lisa,
So they're in comfortable shape with us. We do have
yeah.
money coming in. I don't think it'll be a total disaster. I think we'll get a good price for it. We just need to know. I'd hate to see us as much work as we were doing with the 70,000 that's been in there. Do anything less than what we've given for it.
Well, we would just have to put what we want it out there for and have a minimum.
Well, I mean, aren't we gonna retain the right to reject any and all bids?
Yes, that has to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I mean, to me, we're protected. We don't like what's, I mean, it'll have to come back to building the grounds.
How are we gonna go about advertising building for sale?
I don't really know. I guess we'll
Well,
have to get somebody
how
smarter
did
than
they-
that.
I mean, what would we do any different than, I'm just, and this is strictly a question, I mean, delinquent tax, piece of property. How was it advertised?
Solicit bids.
I don't think it went through any other buildings with it. I think, Clyde had an opportunity to put it out, put it in the paper for us. Did he not at that time? Did he do that for us?
That's
I'm thinking the old school.
That's what
I
I'm
would
thinking.
think the
I think
mayor
that's what we
knows.
did.
Call it surplus property and then ask for bids.
Yeah.
Just like the school one, because you own it, right?
Yes,
Then you declare it surplus property and ask for bids.
I don't know.
I know one time when we first talked about this, you cannot hire a realtor
That's right.
to do it. So,
correct.
Realtor, so that's.
Yeah, I'm familiar.
direction.
But surely there's some state agency out there that can help us, belonging to the state, that can give us direction on this. Don't you think? Somewhere
I don't know
through
what, I mean,
the state.
I think we're capable of deciding
I
what's,
understand it.
I think the surface property,
Building, did we
right,
have-
surface property.
did we ask the
we
realtor-
could do that and put it out for bid.
Hang on,
Mr.
Mr. Bowen.
James.
Mr. Bowen's got a question.
On the realtor, on William Street, did we have a realtor company to just, give a ballpark figure of how much it?
Didn't we have the McKees or the Century 21 to give us some estimate of
That's
that?
what I'm
But
talking
the
about.
state law would not let us turn that over to him. I think that was right.
Right, well, you'd have to, I think what you'd have to do if you're gonna, you want a realtor, then you'd have to let all the realtors bid on
Yeah,
it.
right.
And then, you know, it just gets
Yeah.
more convoluted.
The market will determine what the property is worth by bringing in the bids. And then it'll be up to this committee to say,
Yeah.
nope, you throw it out. If it doesn't bring what you think it needs to bring, then you just dismiss it.
I mean, we know what we paid, we know what we spent on it,
Mm-hmm.
we know what the lease is gonna pay.
We definitely know what the interest is on the money that we had invested.
It's gonna be very attractive for an investment. You got two solid leases in there.
That's right.
Now, did we overpay for it when we bought it? We may have. I
We
don't
may
know.
have, but-
And we'll find out when these bids come
Yeah.
in.
Well, it's kinda hard to buy a building nowadays that's paying for itself.
Well, it'll be very attractive for an investor.
So, I mean, you know, it's,
Well,
I think it'd be worth
When
it.
you say paying for itself, you're talking about what it brings in a 12-month period.
Right.
Well, of course, that's one,
I mean, what's it bring?
one way you could calculate, you know,
It's bringing in over $10,000 a month.
well, I
You
think,
go borrow $1 million and you're paying.
well, what it used to be,
$5,500 a month. So
you get,
the state lease will pay for it and the rest, I mean, it's very attractive for an investor, I'm telling you. That's-
the rule of thumb used
25% return.
to be, should get a 12% return on the building and a 10% return on the real estate. Now, I don't know whether that's changed, but back when I took a real estate course 40 years ago, that's kind of what, so that there's some rules of thumb.
Well, it'll be very attractive. I ran the numbers on that and I know what it is. So some investor will see it and see what it is.
Okay, so we got a motion to sell it and a second.
Question.
Question being called. Okay,
Well, wait a minute.
before we do that,
Wait
we
a
gotta,
minute. Do you want to amend the motion? I don't care for it to be declared surplus property. Would there be any benefit of doing that?
I'd hate to see it go surplus this first time through. That looks like we're just trying to dump it. And we got a value there that we need to recoup for our citizens. It's not an old typewriter
That
that
came
we're
up
running
because-
through, or
because
an
I
old
asked-
car.
Bob, that came up because I asked, how are we going to advertise?
Yeah.
I mean, I just think we advertise it as a building for sale.
Sale.
Yeah.
For sale. I mean, there's nothing surplus, just it's a building for sale and we see what kind of bites we get
What we
on it.
do on the, school board office out
Woodland
on
Street
20,
building.
huh?
The Woodland Street building.
Woodland Street.
Surface property.
Oh, okay.
That's what it was.
Yeah, it was.
But I mean, we had the right to reject any bid.
Same way about this, we have right to.
Correct, absolutely. All right, then, question.
All right, question being called. All in favor?
Aye.
No opposed, so moved. So what our plans are is just to put it out there for sale and see what numbers are coming on.
Mr. Chairman, what I'd do is get with our mayor and go back and refresh our memory of the Woodland Street situation and run off of that. I know Clyde was involved with that and let him lead us one way or the other. We don't need to be in the real estate business as a county entity.
The mayor's office needs to handle the sale.
Well, Leanne,
That's right,
would you-
and that takes us out of as a
would you take
committee
care of that?
and as commissioner body.
Getting with Billy and see about him maybe getting with Clyde, and see
Yeah.
what we need
And
to do
if
about it.
that's what you do, I just puts a resolution together to declare, now I'm not saying you have to declare it surplus property, I just know that's what they do with the school board.
Yeah.
And that way you can get bids for it and you're not, going out trying to sell it. You see what I'm saying, like a realtor, you're just trying to get it. But
Mr.
we'll
Chairman,
see,
this
we'll
motion,
talk to Clyde, and see what he thinks. I'll talk to the mayor.
this motion we just made was to see and take it on to the full commission eventually, right? And that what we decided, that we don't have the power
Well,
to sell the building.
right, I mean, we're gonna have to.
But we have said, the committee has voted to sell it.
I would think we would want to make a
Commission
recommendation to sell it or not to sell it based on it.
Well,
Well, would we even have to go to the committee, to the commission? Unless we had an offer for it?
Not until it's time to sell it.
Not until there's an
We have to do,
offer.
don't have to do anything until we get time to sell it.
Until we get a contract in hand, and then we'll have to vote on it.
I mean, we just put it out there for sale. If we get our bids and we say, okay, somebody's offered us
Or
nine
an
hundred
offer,
thousand.
not a, but an offer.
Yeah,
Yeah, I think that's where it needs to stop right there.
Yeah.
At least, yeah.
all right.
We just don't have, when we get a contract, there's a binding agreement there that we will
Well, the
have.
contract will be contingent upon the county commission.
right.
That's right. There you go.
We just gotta have something to take to the commission and say, look, somebody wants to offer this amount of money for the building, so that's what we need to have in hand. Okay,
I make a motion, we adjourn.
all right.
I second that motion.
Thank you.